It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
Good, everyone. Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me, as always, my buddy, my cousin, pal, the man with the plan, the one and only John Meleka. Before we ask John how he's doing, you all know the drill. If you listen to this podcast and you haven't already done so, please make sure to subscribe. We're on all audio listening platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Alexa, Stitcher, you name it. We are there. If you listen to us on Apple or Spotify, please make sure to give us that 5-star rating. And if you listen to us on Apple, please make sure to leave a review or comment. We're also partnered with Fansided and Minute Media, so you can find this podcast on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. We also got that YouTube page, Knicks, Jets, ETC, period. No one writes out except that shit's wild. Find the page, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. And when you watch a video, leave a comment, add to the conversation, hit that like button. We want to know your thoughts and opinions, especially with the RJ Barrett extension. Are there ramifications to extending RJ Barrett where we can't get Donovan Mitchell anymore? What we're going to talk about. Don't worry. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it. But while you're also over at that YouTube page, we also got another podcast, Winning Picks Weekly. John, video producer Greg, and our guy co-host Chip Murphy. These guys go through every sport possible. Okay, you need to know who to place bets on for college football, NCAA. These guys got you covered. You need NFL, need to know by divisions who's going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. These guys got you covered. You love NBA, PGA, MLB, NHL. These guys got you covered. If you need to put money down on the line because you love sports gambling, make sure to go check these guys out, but make sure to bet responsibly. And then
Alex, week 0 college, all the premiers for the conferences, the AFC, NFC coming out one at a time, and then week 1 coming out for both. We are football. Football's back. Pumpkin spice latte back at Starbucks today. It's back, bro.
You lost me.
Football's
you lost
back,
me,
bro. Pumpkins in the air. You smell it?
Pumpkin spice latte coming out in August and not September is like having Christmas decorations on the shelves
in July
after Halloween.
No, like in July. You get some Christmas in July.
No, stop. All right. And on that note, we're ending this podcast because we clearly have creative differences on when we start holiday seasons. Just kidding.
Football's a holiday, bro. Football's a holiday.
That's a fact. All right. Every Sunday. That's the church. That's the church I'm at. But last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. My guy, John, we got some more news, changing news, exciting news. Mr. Bully Broadway Barrett got a rookie extension, 4 years, $120 million. How you feeling, my guy? How are you feeling?
Man, range of emotions today, dude. We posted it on our Knicks, Jets, etc. feed this morning. We're feeling all types of giddy about RJ Barrett signing the extension, not for the max. As I guess our guy, Mark Berman, friend of the show, came and, eloquently put it. People getting mad at him for no reason, mixtapes, diss raps about him because he didn't want RJ Barrett to get that max. And he was right. He said executives around the league don't think he's worth the max. I think he was right, dude. So I'm happy about that. At the same time, the NFL cuts, you mentioned Knicks, Jets, etc. You mentioned the Jets episodes. Jets cuts today. So it's been crazy. I mean, NBA and Knicks fans don't really know what cut day is like. It's like free agency on steroids because you have to participate in the free agency. Every team has to participate. And you drop dramatically, and then you got the practice squad, you got the waiver priority, so many things happening, man. So I just have a range of emotions today, from sadness to happiness. But I can't. Nothing will usurp the happiness of the Knicks locking up star RJ Barrett, the Knicks finally getting that first-round pick re-signed since Charlie Ward, Heisman winner from Florida State. Like, how sad is that? We finally re-signed Mitch Robinson, right? So another rookie that we finally extended after Charlie. Like,
in one offseason. 2 in one offseason.
Unbelievable,
Since
man.
1999, baby. Since 1999.
Feels like 99. That's what we're gonna start saying for the Knicks. So I'm really excited about the idea that I no longer am surprised, Alex, that the Knicks have a competent front office. I'm no longer surprised. It just is. At this point, I'm gonna be shocked if we make an irrational move. And really, I think this deal finally put me over the top there. Because if you give RJ the max extension, people are going to be looking at you funny, right? We're already sitting here and he's making $30 million a year and people are freaking out about that. Imagine it was the max. And so not only am I really excited that RJ is going to be comfortable because he now knows that he's the man, right? And he's making more than Julius Randle. Not only is Julius Randle, obviously fell out of favor with the fan base, but now due to the extension and how it worked out, he's making more money than Randle. It's effectively his team. And he's young. And I hope, Alex, that we are actually going to grow with him. I know there's rumors. The rumors are still lingering. And we'll get into that in a second here. But I am full of hopium. We locked up our rookie. I'm excited for him. We were a little weirded out when we got the third, lottery pick in that draft. And look where we are now. We have a stud. We don't have to max him out like the other two guys. I think he's arguably better than the other two guys. There really is a fine argument to be made. I know people are going to freak out because John Morant. It's an argument to be made that RJ could be better than John Morant. So for the first time, I'm very happy with this Knicks front office. And at this point, man, I think the burden of, it officially is off them to show me that they are competent or incompetent for the deal. I feel like now it's going to be, why is this bad? Instead of, how on earth can a transaction from the Knicks be good? There has to be something wrong here. What am I missing? You know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, you talk about extensions, right? Let's just talk about let's deal with RJ's class, the 2019 class, and see what the other contracts were right now, right? We got John Morant, as you pointed, projected value is around 193 million minimum, could increase to 231 based on incentives, all-star, all those things. Same thing with Zion Williamson, minimum 193 million with all the incentives, could get up to 231 million as well. You talk about Darius Garland, same thing, same contract, 193 million minimum, can get up to 231 million based on incentives. And then you got Keldon Johnson, who was also signed. He didn't get the max. He got 4 years, 74. But now you get RJ Barrett, 4 years, 120. Is he anywhere with Williamson, Garland, and John Morant right now? No, those guys are all all-stars. They all made an all-star team. You had Ja and Garland this past year. He had Zion 2 seasons ago. So it's not even close to why those guys, it makes sense why those guys got rookie max extensions. We haven't seen RJ do that yet.
Thank God. Thank God he didn't make those first teams. Thank God he didn't. We were crying about it, how he's snubbed all these years. And honestly, at this point, I could just imagine the Knicks front office being like, let's go. Secretly, like, yeah, this is a snub and it sucks. But internally, like, this is just going to help us out in a couple of years.
Yeah, but I mean, when you also look at his performance on the court, he hasn't been as efficient. Like when you watch those guys play, right? Like Ja doesn't have an outside shot yet that's consistent, but still the amount of pressure that he puts on teams by his gravity. Same thing with Zion Williamson. Same thing with Garland. Those guys' gravity on the court is just so immense that you have to hone in on them. RJ, he's not quite there yet, right? Inefficient his rookie season. Second year, he became a 3-and-D guy, really, right? He was just the off man to Julius Randle's success. This season,
corner 3 guy.
Yeah, corner 3 guy his second season. This year, started off slow, got sick, then became the number 1 option towards the end and showed that he could shoulder that load, but it was still inefficient because he wasn't used to that role. In the Knicks' favor, young guy, right? Still young. What, 21, 22? Think about it. 21, 22. Much more room to grow throughout his career to become a really good player. Baseline, you're going to get a solid role player. Can he get some couple of all-star games? I believe so. Could he be like the Knicks Jaylen Brown? I think he could there if everything hits right. I think he could, but he's still a work in progress, right? I'm excited for that. We got him, though, a guy who is meant for the New York media, right? That's the biggest thing. And that when people talk about why you want to extend RJ Barrett, yes, you can look at the numbers, be like, okay, could he improve in that? Absolutely. Guys have shown that they can improve in that area. But his mentality, his willingness to work, that work ethic, that's leadership mentality. Julius Randle wasn't showing up for press conferences. He was taking the brunt of it. Okay. He's gone through so much turmoil. We haven't even had a team really set up for him, right? His first year here, we needed guys to shoot threes so that way he could attack in the open space. Didn't have that. It was 5 power forwards, brick city. Okay. You only had Reggie Bullock, Wayne Ellington, and a few other guys that could potentially shoot a 3, depending on the night. Last season, became that, like I said, 3-and-D guy. But the thing is the mentality, man. It really comes down to the mentality. Someone who in New York won't waver, right? And we talk about a Derek Jeter-like mentality. I'm not saying he's Derek Jeter. I'm not saying he's the clutch guy yet. But the mentality where the spotlight isn't big. He is who he is. He goes in, works his butt off, and guys can rally behind that and see that's true leadership. Having somebody like that in a locker room, it's truly a trickle-down effect where if you see your leader putting in that much work, getting better, right, not being wavered by anything, even with the tabloids in this city. You talk about RJ, you talk about Berman writing articles about, him not being worth, you have Begley saying he could be thrown into a Donovan Mitchell deal. Still up until this day, there's still the potential of him being thrown into a deal. And what is he doing? He's still working out. You don't hear or see anything from him that it's bothering him, right? We hear Jaylen Brown's name thrown in so many things, and we get a tweet with side eyes.
He got Twitter fingers.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Barrett doesn't have Twitter fingers. I agree, man. And you know what's so crazy? Because you're completely on point with his locker room effect. But what I don't understand, Alex, and you're plugged in to the fan base more than many of us, because you co-host on Knicks Fan TV. You're out there, you get the reactions, you get the phone calls all day. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're a little delightful, but they're always on this. They're always on the extreme side of the spectrum. And what I don't understand, Alex, is this guy RJ, from day one, the guy's playing on Duke. We're all looking at the girl he's with, meaning Zion Williamson. We're all like, yo, we want Zion. Everyone, we were crying at the lottery. We're watching, Duke play in the Garden. We're all watching Zion. Meanwhile, RJ Barrett's like, yeah, I want to go to the Knicks. Yeah, I want to play in Madison Square Garden. Like, yes, I don't want to play for any other team. And from day one, he's been like that. So I don't understand why this Knicks fan base, where we can get very emotional in general, and if you like the Knicks, if you're a Knicks guy, we love you to death, right? Unless we pay you too much. And then like Brunson, for example, right? Then we can be a little bit in our feelings. But someone like RJ Barrett, dude, I don't understand. Like, not only did we not pay him the extension, the max, we paid it. He's on a good deal. He's a locker room guy. He wants to be with the Knicks. Sure, he's inefficient sometimes. Sure, he doesn't finish at the rim as much as I'd like him to. Sure, he could be better with a point guard, and he finally got one. But why is everyone so upset? Like, what is the deal? Where is the trepidation about this fan base and RJ Barrett?
I think it comes down to, I think everyone still lives in the old of like the money. So they see 120 million. It's like, oh, he's not worth the money. And I still think people are too far back in realizing that 120 million today is not, it's on the lower side. Like, for that contract extension, it's on the lower
Allen Houston
side.
Made 100 mil.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what do you want?
Relatively.
And that was the worst contract ever. They literally created a rule for amnesty because of Allen Houston.
Thank you. But I'm saying, like, and that's my point, is that I don't think everyone's really caught up with what contracts are today, right? I still think people forget, like, Mozgov got 60, right? And it's just, it's still this adjustment. And when we always talk about the cap is about to jump again in 2025. This deal is going to look like nothing in 2025.
And Alex, I said it to you, through our text this week. I was listening to Brian Windhorst Windy, as we like to call him, talk a little about that new deal. He said players could be making up to $70 million on the max. 70 mil a year, bro, based on incentives and whatnot. And then teams are going to have a floor that year. And remember when we saw Cole Aldridge making a ridiculous deal, Timothy Mozgov? That's what's going to happen in 2025. And then you're going to be looking at RJ Barrett and, honestly, to a lesser extent, Julius Randle. And you're going to be like, dude, these deals are immaculate. Forget, good deal. We need these players on our team, It's going to be like, we need these types of contract with these types of production to actually have a winning team. Because you'll have the max players, but you're going to need depth, right? At normal prices, to fit in the cap. And that's the thing, man. If the fan base is just not in tune with the salary cap, I get it. But do you think it has anything to do with RJ as an actual player? Because it can't be RJ as a person. We know that. And, you were pretty eloquent in describing he's a great guy on and off the floor. You think it has anything to do with him as a player? You think it's maybe because we haven't watched him with an actual point guard, so he's had to kind of be our quasi point guard? And to be honest, he's not. He's just not a point guard. He's not a floor manager.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think one, it comes down to the money, and two, it comes down to the player on the court that we watch, right? And people were hyped. I mean, we were all hyped. We were all impressed year two. The improvement he made, especially shooting three, doing that snake dribble to get to the foul line to shoot a mid-range jumper, right? And his ability to cut and just kind of have an in-between game to even it all out. Last season, it kind of looked like he regressed a little bit in that way, but he was working on something else, his ability to attack the rim and be efficient and to draw fouls and to hit his free throws. He's been hitting his free throws. He's improved in that area. He can drive to the lane and draw the foul. But I definitely do agree with you that it's his production on the court. It's not pretty. It's a bully standard, and it's similar to what Julius does, right? Except Julius should be playing more in the post, not be playing like a wing, and that's kind of what Julius does. Julius's game is what RJ's game would be, and if it's at an efficient level, it's what you would see Jaylen Brown on the Boston Celtics do. Like if RJ can be efficient, effective in that manner, it'd be very similar to what Jaylen Brown can do. And I think when you don't see that, Butler, and you see, I think he's going to be better. I think he'd be better than Jimmy Butler because of a shooting from three. Not saying he will be better than Jimmy, right? I'm not saying that. I think
cut the old clip, guys. Don't listen.
Yeah, I know. Aggregate this and burn it. All I'm saying is that as a shooter, I think RJ will be better. Jimmy's just an ultimate gamer. I love Jimmy's game. But when you watch other guys around the league and you see players who pop year one, like a Zion, like a Ja, I can understand when you're a fan base who hasn't had anything for such a long time and hasn't seen success that you want the player to pop immediately. You don't necessarily want to go through watching development year after year after year, but that's the case for a lot of these guys, is that you got to watch them develop, right? I look at like Kawhi Leonard, someone who didn't necessarily pop when he came into the league. Same thing with Paul George to a certain extent. He didn't pop, but then once they start going on the playoff runs with the Pacers, you start to see what he could offer this team, the Indiana Pacers team. So there's guys like that all around the league. Same thing with like Nikola Jokic, right? He didn't come into the league and just start saying, "Oh, look how great I am." It took him time. And I think that's just a standard for a lot of players, is that they're not going to come to this league and be blockbuster immediately. And so I think that's the reservation fans have with RJ Barrett. And my response is he's 22. Like he's not even close to his prime.
You know what, Alex? Like we talked about the top of the draft, and it's fair. I want it to be compared to the top, especially because he was a top 3 pick. I'm with you.
But hold on, even Darius Garland. Darius Garland, first couple of years, he didn't pop either. Not until last year. Like you saw improvement. Now you're like, oh wow, look at Darius Garland.
That's fair. But look to his other teammate, Cam Reddish. Like we're sitting here begging for him to get a minute. He's been traded from the Hawks for Kevin Knox and a pick, right? And then how he's here, he can't get any time with Tibbs, a veteran coach, who I'm sure knows basketball, regardless of what Knicks Twitter thinks, and he might get moved, and he's definitely not getting a contract extension that looks anything like RJ Barrett's. You know what I mean? And this is Cam Reddish, a guy on Duke who was a catalyst to them being good. So I just think that it's easy to fade. I mean, if you listen to Winning Picks Weekly, right? A little shameless plug here on our YouTube, on our Apple, on our Spotify. I'm a big fade them guy, fade the public kind of guy. So I kind of get why the fan base wants to fade RJ Barrett. You know what I mean? Like, everybody loves him. He's he's coddled. He can miss layups. We don't get upset. We don't win games with him. He's not a bona fide superstar. I get why you want to fade him. You know what I mean? He's not an all-star. It's not sexy. Like Jimmy Butler, why I like to compare him to Jimmy Butler. I know he has a better shot, but at the same time, Butler's gets to the rim and finishes better defender. So I think it evens out a little bit. He became good, number one, because he was on one of the best teams, of the last 2 decades in that Chicago Bulls team with D Rose, MVP, and Joakim Noah and Tibbs. Sorry to say. And then he stunk until he ended up in Miami with the culture. You know what I mean? And so sometimes it has a lot to do with your surroundings. Jimmy Butler couldn't put the Bulls over the top. Jimmy Butler could not do anything in Philly, even though he had a superstar with him, right? He needed to go to the culture in Miami. And to be honest, he hasn't really done anything. I know that sounds crazy because we love Miami. They're always, in the mix. But, has Miami won a chip? Did I miss it? And so he had a good, he's a fun guy, Jimmy Butler. And I think that's kind of what makes him different than RJ. He's got that personality. So you mentioned Derek Jeter. Okay, and we're talking RJ Barrett, and we're talking about the guy who's going to say the right thing, and he's not going to get anyone into a tizzy, and he's going to work hard, and everyone's going to like him. However, Derek Jeter would have been the most annoying New York athlete of all time if the Yankees never won. If the Yankees never won, and then he was always like, "Yeah, it's all good. We're trying hard. We're working." We'd be like, "Yo, shut up." You're losing every single year. Something has to change. Almost like Aaron Boone right now is for the Yankees as a manager. You know what I mean? Where he was just like, every year, every press conference, yeah, things are okay. We're going to be all right. No, dude, no, we're not. But if we were winning, then it would be Joe Torre. Oh, Joe Torre, he's so stoic. He's amazing. He just sits there. He can handle it. It's because they're winning. So it's a little bit of hindsight 2020 with these types of deals. And it really just matters about wins and losses. You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's really what it comes
100%.
down to.
Wins and losses makes a huge difference. But
Off the field. It's his same reaction, his same no face is going to be amazing if they're winning, or I hate this guy. I can't believe that he's doing this if we're losing.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on what you say, if you can get a rile out of somebody too. But I like what you said about the surroundings, and that's I think the biggest thing when we look at RJ is what has this team surrounded him with to really excel, right? We haven't really had. You look at Miami as a competent team. They give Jimmy Butler the shooters. They give him the point guard, right? They give him all these other playmakers where it doesn't have to necessarily be. He is the guy when it comes down to crunch time, but he doesn't have to be the guy 24/7. You got Bam, another all-star on that team that could help too. Who has outside of Julius's one season, between the 3 seasons that he's been on this team, where's the other? Who's the other guy that can go thrive, right? And we know RJ has to develop his game, but we don't have another all-star. We don't have all these efficient players that can go out there and create shots effectively to open up the space for RJ to go and work in the paint. So it just comes down to the makeup of the team too. So that's why this season's important. We got Jalen Brunson. If we get Donovan Mitchell, then he has really no excuse to be thriving. Because if you got Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and RJ Barrett with Mitchell Robinson, and whether it be Julius Randle or whoever's playing that 4 position, there's no excuse for why RJ shouldn't be effective when you have a top scorer in Donovan Mitchell, a good point guard who can score, facilitate in Jalen Brunson, solid rim protection, lob threat in Mitchell Robinson. Like that's
Alex,
where you have what?
Alex, do we have Donovan Mitchell?
Well, I was about to go into that.
I mean, you just mentioned Donovan Mitchell as if I'm like looking. I
said
did
if.
I miss something?
I did say if. I said if we get Donovan Mitchell, if, big if. But you know
when?
what? Depends on when. But let's get into this because, we got the news of RJ Barrett. We got the news of RJ Barrett's extension last night by one Adrian Wojnarowski.
Okay, hold on. I have to give props to Big Nick Energy. I have to give props to that account. There's been a lot of nonsense, but last night he said, or she, whatever, Big Nick Energy.
It's he.
Okay, it's he. Okay, he said that either the Leon Rose and the Knicks, which I just said, I can't believe they're competent. It's unbelievable. The burden of proof is now literally, you have to tell me the Knicks made a bad deal for me to believe it, because they put an ultimatum on America's man, America's Donald Trump, and make the deal guy. America's like number one negotiator in the planet. That everyone is telling me it might steal my future children if I want Donovan. It's crazy, dude. I don't understand everyone's love for Danny Ainge. He's a big jerk. Nobody likes him. Whether when he was a player and now as a GM, and now he's going from Utah to Boston. When he's working in Utah, he's going to Boston games, dude. I don't know what everyone loves about this guy. Thinks he's a diabolical genius, but I'm so happy that Leon Rose put his foot down and said, yo, I'm giving you a deadline. You can either have RJ Barrett and the 3 unprotected picks, or we're going to extend RJ with the poison pill contract. And shout out to Big Nick Energy. Everyone freaked out, like, oh, dude, and just another message at night. But, it might as well be from the Friday Night Knicks guy. And it ended up coming true. So shout out to him. Go ahead. I just want to give him some props, because all we do is we like to call out the people who are wrong, right? But this apparently today's about people who are right. We started with Mark Berman, and now we go to Big Nick Energy. So I just props are due. This is not the Knicks fan base. We get a lot of slack.
Yeah, no, he did tweet out saying that RJ was going to get an extension within 24 hours yesterday. It was a deadline. He did say that. He did say it. He said, what was it? Jerry West said that he told the Knicks that he believes Grimes is going to be better than RJ. Gave the whole breakdown of what would happen. People were like, okay, this is all cap, just another account looking for clout. But nah, they called it. He had the sources. And now shout out to Big Nick Energy for calling this before even Woj breaking this news. So shout out to you. But let's get into this Donovan Mitchell talk, bro. Because when we think about this extension, you brought it up. RJ was included in the deal. We heard from Ian Begley. In July that there was no interest in RJ Barrett. Then a couple weeks ago.
Why though? Why?
Why wasn't there any interest in July?
The reason that there wasn't interest in RJ Barrett was because the rumor was they don't want to pay him money. They don't want to. Right. They don't want to sign him. Okay, it's not that RJ's bad. We just talked a little bit about RJ on and off the court. I just want to make it clear as to why they weren't interested in him. Yeah,
because they didn't want to pay him. Now, 2 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, whatever, we get the report from Ian Begley, saying that the Jazz did want RJ Barrett in the deal, right? And we got word from Adrian Wojnarowski yesterday in the thread, in the article, wherever you want to read it, after RJ got the extension, where there was a time limit for Danny Ainge to make a decision, according to Woj. The deal was RJ Barrett, Evan Fournier, 2 unprotected first-round picks, and I think a total of 4, including 2 of the other unprotected, the heavily protected, I mean. Danny Ainge didn't take that deal, and then because of that, Leon Rose and the New York Knicks organization decided to extend him. But there's still ideas that you could still trade RJ Barrett. There's only one time throughout the entire history where the poison pill contract was actually traded, according to Woj, and that was with I'm going to look for the name. I have the name right here. But
It's Harris, no?
yes, it was Harris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
It was Harris. Yep. It was Harris. Back
So
in 2000. Devin Harris, back in 2008.
So the poison pill means that basically the team has it's a higher salary cap burden than what's actually on the books.
Yep.
So you have to give back more money than you take in. So it has to be a team with ample cap space,
i.e. the Lakers. That would have to be it. It would have to be the Lakers who gets involved in the 3-team deal. Shout out to Jonathan Macri, who broke down that trade in his newsletter today.
Yep.
So that would be one of the teams that would have to get in there if you want to still get Donovan Mitchell and include RJ Barrett. It's very unlikely for that to happen. Out of the 179 players with the poison pill contract, as we mentioned, Devin Harris was the only one in 2008 to be traded. And his contract isn't as substantial as RJ Barrett's, or was, I should say. So I highly doubt that RJ is going to be traded, but it's interesting to know that RJ was included in these deals. Danny Ainge, this is where I go back to.
And 2 unprotected, dude. And was it 2 unprotected and 3 protected? That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, man, with RJ and Fournier, obviously, to make the money work. That's a lot, Alex. I'm not feeling that trade, to be honest with you. I'm really happy that Ainge said no.
Yeah, no, I wasn't feeling that trade at all.
I would have been pissed, to be honest
at
with you.
all. And on top of that, Ainge said that he wanted Grimes in that deal too.
And now there's a whole thing about how Jerry West says that Grimes is going to be better. And the all-knowing Jerry West, I guess we got to follow it. Okay.
So, look, that deal was too much, very steep. I would not have done it. I would have been pissed if the Knicks had done it. Donovan Mitchell, as much as I want him on the Knicks, that's not the package you give to go get Donovan Mitchell. So good for Leon Rose in this front office for standing their ground, saying, no, you're going to take our deal. And they're confident that they got the best deal. I believe they still got the best deal, but you still got to tread carefully because the longer it goes, you just give other teams the opportunity to collect more assets, right? Hopefully they can get a deal done before training camp. But it's just crazy, bro. This is just crazy to think that Danny Ainge is out here thinking he can get more and try to swindle the Knicks because of the Rudy Gobert trade. This is where I keep saying that the Rudy Gobert trade has really shifted the market in what people think they can get for players. This is why Kevin Durant wasn't traded, because if you look at Rudy Gobert, you're like, Kevin Durant's way better than Rudy Gobert. So if that's what you're getting for Rudy Gobert, I got to be able to get more than that. And then Donovan Mitchell, as much as I understand Rudy Gobert's, I understand his resume, what he brought to the Utah Jazz. It's still a guard and wings league. Donovan Mitchell, still an all-star. Okay. You need guards to succeed in this league. We still yet to see the center, the one-all center, just win it. Okay. I know he believes Donovan Mitchell's worth more than Rudy Gobert.
Dude. Listen, I'm not sure if this is a fan thing or an actual league thing, because I just don't think this is true. Like, I understand that they got a lot for Rudy Gobert. I agree. It just doesn't mean that they're going to swindle everybody else the same way. And to be honest with you, from the Minnesota perspective, I've said this before, but I really believe that this gives them ample opportunity to trade Karl Anthony Towns if this doesn't work out, get the picks back that they could say they traded for Gobert, and then they have Gobert, the picks, and Anthony Edwards to build around, right? And what depends on what they get for D'Angelo Russell. I believe they have a plan. So I don't think it's as crazy from the Minnesota. From everybody else, like if Danny Ainge really isn't going to trade unless he gets a Gobert type deal, great. Don't trade him. Honest to God, don't trade, keep him. You're not going to get that deal. So, and in your opinion, that's what he's worth. He's worth more. Then you have to keep him, man. And what I really have to hone in on here, Alex, is I already, was a little sarcastic about how everyone thinks Danny Ainge is this diabolical genius, negotiator. But dude, this whole idea that Danny Ainge is some sort of, secret agent that he could that it doesn't matter who comes into camp with his new regime at head coach and his first real trade as a GM of the Jazz. And it doesn't matter if Donovan Mitchell's in camp and they'll take care of it. And Daryl Morey didn't care. So why would Danny Ainge care? This must be the dumbest narrative I've ever heard in my life. It must be the dumbest narrative. If you want to say like this is what the Lakers can do, no problem. They won a championship. They have LeBron James and they have Anthony Davis. There's a lot to hang back on there. What on earth can the Utah Jazz present to have a competent work environment with Donovan Mitchell there? How? Everybody knows that you don't want him. Everybody knows you want to redo the team. Everybody knows you want to lose games. Dude, you're going to ruin that head coach. And guess what? That's your hire. That's your hire. If it starts crappy and you built a bad culture from day one, it's over, dude. You're poisoning your own farm. You know what I mean? By leaving this guy here. And if you think that you could poison your farm and then just get rid of Mitchell and all of a sudden it's going to be nice and clear again and everything's going to be fantastic and roses.
Hey man,
listen, if he does it, I'm telling you right now, he is a diabolical genius and he is a secret agent, and because that would be amazing. That would be unprecedented. That would be honestly book-worthy. Book-worthy if you're able to alter your franchise like that with 2 moves, including one where you're faking leverage. Like you have to fake the leverage. Yeah. Because it just doesn't make any sense to me, man. It makes no sense.
Well, I agree with this. I agree with your point that you can't have Donovan Mitchell go past training camp because you got Will Hardy in there, rookie head coach. We saw what happened down in Houston to Stephen Silas when they had James Harden down there, and you just had the trade rumors. You saw James Harden not in shape. He didn't really care, and it was every single press conference like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And you see it wear on the team. You see it wear on the head coach. And you just don't need that. Okay. Now, maybe for Danny Ainge, he doesn't care. He could totally not care. But I also look at this. You got a guy in Donovan Mitchell. As soon as he entered the league, he experienced success. He went to the playoffs. He's made the playoffs every single year since he's been in the league. Now you're going to tell him, hey, bud, we're rebuilding. We're probably going to stink for the next couple of years because we're trying to get Wembayama. You know, we're trying to get in the top of the draft for the next. We're trying to get into the top of the draft. If you're Donovan Mitchell and you're hearing this and you're like, look, man, I'm 25. My prime is next year. It begins next year. I'm going to be 26. I'm trying to compete for a championship. You can't tell me for 2, 3, who knows, that I have to be playing at a low level of basketball after I came into the league with a solid team and experienced playoff success and being that guy, all right, with Gordon Hayward, his rookie season. You can't sell me on that. He's got to get moved this year. Has to, okay? Because it doesn't make sense to have him then not fully tank. It has to happen, okay? And I think you would want to do it sooner rather than later. Look, we had Brian Windhorst go on his podcast, the Hoop Collective, talk about how they're looking to move Donovan Mitchell before training camp. I think the Knicks look at it like this. They know no one can beat them, all right? They didn't even need to trade RJ Barrett. But you know what? They entertained the deal. They entertained it, seeing if they could reduce the amount of pick compensation, which I totally understand. They did. They offered it. They tried to reduce the pick compensation.
Here's the thing. Did they minimize the pick compensation? Because 3 unprotected and 2 protected is a lot with RJ Barrett.
No, it was 2 unprotected. It was 2
unprotected and 3 protected.
Yes.
That's a lot. Still a lot. So with RJ Barrett, like, that is a lot.
But it was supposed to be Evan Fournier, RJ, that. I agree. But you have to think that those protected, it's not theirs. The likelihood of them conveying is further down the line, especially if it's like Detroit, Washington, whoever. You have to think like that.
I like those protected picks. I know I'm in the minority. I get it. I like them.
I get it, but I still look at it as those are less valuable. I think to the Knicks, it's like you never know when they're going to convey. I get it that they could be trade chips down the line for another deal,
Yeah.
But I think for Donovan Mitchell, you're willing to do that with only 2 of your own unprotected.
Sure.
Considering if you get Donovan Mitchell, you already know you're a playoff team. So those 2, right? Those 2 years, you're probably in the mix. It's probably going to be in the 20s. Not really anything to worry about.
In addition to being able to trade more future draft picks.
Exactly.
In order to help Donovan Mitchell to get over that hump.
Yeah. But here's my thing. Danny Ainge, I don't think ever really wanted RJ. I think I think it always comes down to
I believe Bagley. Hashtag believe Bagley.
Yeah. First of all, I have Jazz fans in my mentions after I say, Danny Ainge can't swindle the Knicks, da 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 da. They're like, he never wanted RJ. It's like, I agree. He never wanted RJ for the fact of keeping him. He wanted RJ to show that he won a deal and got one over on the Knicks. All right. Yeah. And then flip RJ. That's my whole thought process of that.
I agree with that.
That's what I think. And it's always to create leverage and to say, hey, I'm playing hardball. And the Knicks were like, okay, they probably offered it, knowing that Danny Ainge needed more. And it's like, look, you have until this deadline if we're going to be serious. If not, we're going to sign him. They did it. It's like, guess what? Unlikely that we're going to trade him now because you don't have the cap space to do it. Maybe we get the Lakers in here. Maybe they don't want it. Maybe they don't want RJ. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to go through the hoops and ladder of taking on a poison pill contract to mess up their books.
They don't.
But
they would take it to fix their books. Honestly,
yeah, I know.
Westbrook, but yeah,
right.
I feel you.
But maybe I don't know. I can understand wanting RJ Barrett if you're a Laker. But anyway,
I can understand if you want RJ Barrett if you're literally any team in the NBA, including the Utah Jazz. The morons. They're morons that they don't want to pay RJ Barrett. But that's neither here nor. If the Utah Jazz want to pay Obi Toppin in 2 years, and you're talking about Donovan Mitchell being in his prime, they're the same age, Donovan Mitchell and Obi Toppin. And Obi has never had a winning season. You're going to put him on a tanking Jazz and expect him to re-sign with you? Like, that's even dumber than your idea of not re-signing RJ Barrett if you're the Utah Jazz. You know what I mean? And so I just don't understand what they want.
It really comes down to the picks, man. This is where Berman was right. And look, I was on Knicks Fan TV when he came on the show, and it comes down to the picks, man. Danny Ainge wants the picks.
So let me ask you this. Right? So the Lakers made a little deal for Beverly. They obviously want Cam Reddish because they're clutch university out there in LA. Do you think somehow, some way, we could involve the Lakers, end up trading D Rose to the Lakers? He's a West Coast guy. I know. We're going to, at the same time, we'll also have to absorb Westbrook, which is even worse, right? But we'll make the money work, right? We'll get a Fournier. We'll make the money work because of Fournier and D Rose. We'll be able to get one of the draft picks from the Lakers, send them to Utah. So the Utah will have the Lakers and the Knicks unprotected picks. And that way, Danny Ainge is hyped because he has the Lakers and the Knicks. 2 franchises have been pretty bad in the last couple of years, right? Minus the bubble. I feel like that would work, and that's the only way I can feel like the Lakers could be harmonious, with this whole Beverly thing, and Westbrook's a problem, and they want Cam Reddish, and D Rose would be awesome, and the Utah will get what they want, and I'm sure maybe Rudy Gay could move to the Lakers too, in some sort of money matching situation, maybe Bogey, if that somehow works there with the 1 year. I feel like there's a way for the 3 team, for everyone to be happy. And I promise you, I don't care if there's no rumors about it. I'm going to be shocked if Randle doesn't end up on the Hornets. I don't care if there's no rumors. I don't care if I'm making them up out of thin air. They don't have a power forward. And
how about the Phoenix Suns? Did you see that? Did you see that article flying around?
I didn't.
Oh, there was a not Knicks writers, Phoenix Suns writers were thinking about, there's like 4 of them thinking about how Julius Randle would be a perfect fit.
He would, but I don't know if the money would work.
I don't even think it's about the money. It's like, who do you actually trade? I don't know who you trade.
I don't want anything. I'll take Bridges.
I don't think they would trade Bridges. That's my thing.
Yeah. I'll take Bridges and Brunson. That would be sick. Nice little Villanova reunion.
That'd be dope.
I would love that. But yeah, this is my tinfoil hat, I guess. I think the Hornets are going to come in and it's going to be the Hornets and the Lakers. That's the only way we're going to be able to facilitate this trade. And it's going to be with us taking Westbrook some way, somehow, or maybe even disgustingly Gordon Hayward. I'm sorry, Jeremy Cohen. But I think, Hayward could end up here. Something like that. And that's the only way the Jazz are going to get their picks. Because I'm telling you what, man, it's not going to come from here. And from that Jerry West thing, I don't think that Grimes is going to be in there. And I think they're hesitant to put Obi in. I don't even think IQ is on the map. I don't even think IQ is even a thing. So I think they're hesitant about IQ. I think they're kind of out on Grimes, putting Grimes in the trade. It just makes things complicated. I don't think the ball is in Utah's court because the guy's name is Danny Ainge like everybody else thinks. I just truly, truly don't.
Look, we know who the guys are that the Knicks are excited about. Berman wrote about it, right? He wrote the 7 names.
Berman too.
He wrote
Begley, bro.
He wrote the names that said that he had D Rose and IQ on the bench. He named 7 players. 7. Okay. He talked about they would be excited about a Brunson, Donovan, RJ, Randle, Mitch, IQ, Rose, 7. That's who they're excited about. Grimes, where's Grimes? Where's Obi? McBride? Like, we know Jericho Sims can't be traded. He just got signed. He can't be traded until December.
The guy knows what he's talking about, man. Berman knows what he's talking about. He's plugged in. I don't care what you say. I don't care what rap song. I mean, you're wearing the Papa Left Nick Set shirt, and I still believe Berman. I don't know what to say.
Look, I think Berman is like Berman's been pretty accurate. I think it comes down to the picks that Utah wants. He named the 7 guys that the Knicks organization would be excited about. I think they're understanding that they got to trade Grimes. I mean, if you get Donovan Mitchell, I think Grimes is a starter in this league. As a minimum role player, I think he's still a starter. He ain't going to be starting here if you get Donovan Mitchell. I think he's more valuable than just being a bench player. As awesome as it would be to have him as a bench player, I just don't see it happening. But I do agree with you that I think the Lakers are going to get involved with this. The Lakers need to overhaul their team. I look at the Utah Jazz. They still got Conley. They still got Jordan Clarkson. They got Bojan Bogdanovic. Okay. You put all 3 of those guys, or even 2 of them, let's just say Clarkson and Bogdanovic on the Lakers, transformation. Totally different team.
If Clarkson ends up back in the Lakers, I'm going to be pissed. I'm just saying that right now.
But it's a totally different team, though.
They're going to be so good.
They would be good. That's what I'm saying. They would be good. That's a totally different team.
I'd be pissed. The Lakers would win in that trade, even though we got Donovan Mitchell. I'll be honest with you.
For out in the West and competing, yeah. They would totally win that trade. And that's why I do not sleep on the Lakers. I think they're still involved. With Hornets getting Randle, I think that's a toss-up. I could see it happening. I think it's a toss-up.
I think that once the Hornets show up at training camp, they're gonna be like, what the hell? Like Steve Clifford's gonna be like, what is this? You know what I mean? Am I on the Bobcats? Like, what's happening right now? Like, I see I have a point guard. I see I have a bunch of guards, right? In Rozier and LaMelo and Hayward to an extent guard. He's like, now what? he's just like, I don't know. I feel like Randall's, but who knows? We don't even know what's going on with Bridges, right? So, I mean, it doesn't look like he's gonna play. So who knows?
No, I don't know. He's still in legal trouble. Same thing with Montrezl Harrell. Yeah,
crazy.
You talk about 2 guys who are in legal trouble. So
let me ask you this. A little hybrid New York question. You know we like to do these. What's going to come first? A Donovan Mitchell trade, the Yankees playoff win, or the Jets being above 500?
Training camp's in September, bro.
I know.
So you're talking about playoff win. Playoffs doesn't start until October for baseball.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a month. That's a month in. Everyone's telling me that they're okay for the trade deadline, bro. Everybody's telling me Danny Ainge is good until Donovan Mitchell cries in front of him. I don't know. I don't know what he's waiting for. But apparently the Jazz are good. They're all set.
I know the heat is out there still. I still can't fathom Danny Ainge working with Pat Riley. Can't fathom. Can't see it. I don't see it. I just can't. I'm gonna go with it's tough between a Donovan Mitchell trade or the Jets being 500.
Oh, you don't think the Yankees playoffs is it's mid-October?
It's October. That's October, man. Donovan Mitchell's gonna be traded.
Before.
It'll be done.
Okay,
It'll be
great.
done. It'll be done before October.
Easy.
I think.
Okay,
I think
passive elimination. Easy. Okay, go ahead.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's the Yankees. I think they're still going to win it. They're still going to win the playoff series, but that's in October. I think the trade's going to happen before October. So
Okay.
it's now: do the Jets win? Go
Above
2-2.
500. Above the 1-0
Oh,
is fine.
above 5. Oh,
Above 500.
is it
yeah,
500 or above 500?
Above 500.
Ooh.
So it has to be 1-0, 2-1.
Oh, okay. So it's got to be that. All right.
Yeah,
So
no
3
500.
games minimum in. Oh man.
Or 1. I'll give you 1. If we win week 1, that counts. That never
Okay.
happens. Versus the Ravens, man. Like, I'll give you week 1 if you want to take that.
Man. Now I'm just going with the Donovan Mitchell trade.
Okay, that's fair. You think Donovan Mitchell's going to come before the Yankees win a playoff game and Jets be over 500? It's fair. It's fair. Everyone will be happy with that. I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. I think it'll be great. I think it's going to happen, man. I think the Knicks are still in the driver's seat. I think everyone's been saying it. Well, Cleveland's out of it. Everyone's out of it. I don't really believe Miami. And the reason I don't believe Miami is more so Danny Ainge working with Pat Riley. I just don't see that happening. So with that, I think it's a good place to.
Yeah, my issue is the Jets are going to be above 500 in exactly 10 days. So you think
Wow.
Donovan Mitchell trade is going to happen in 10 days?
After Labor Day weekend.
Well, literally
I think it could happen. I think
on
it could
September
happen.
11th. The Jets are going to be 1-0 at 4 p.m. Eastern time.
Is Donovan Mitchell a Jets fan or a Giants fan? Will he be at one of those games?
I don't know. That'd be crazy. Definitely not going to a Giants game. Unless he's a loser. Even Saquon Barkley's dad's a Jets fan, bro. Get out of here.
Yeah, I'm still going with Donovan Mitchell.
Okay,
Still
deal.
going with Donovan
I'm
Mitchell.
okay with it. I just think it's going to be the Jets
All right.
because we're
Fair
going to beat
enough.
the Ravens.
Fair
Flacco's
enough.
elite.
Flacco gets his revenge on the. Oh, wow. I'm not even thinking that far ahead. Oh, revenge game for Flacco. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And CJ Mosley. And maybe Tony Jefferson. Dum-dum-dum.
The CJ Mosley thing is not really selling me. It's more so the Joe Flacco thing that's selling me.
Okay.
Because we played. I think we played the Ravens with CJ, didn't we?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think so.
Okay. Yeah, that's tough. Ooh. Yeah, I'm still going with Donovan Mitchell.
Deal. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. But I think it's a good place to wrap this up too, man.
Yeah, it's good. So everyone, thank you for tuning for another Knicks episode of the Knicks Jets Etc. podcast. You know what to do. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed to any of the audio listening platforms that we're on. Okay, whether you use Apple, Spotify, whatever it may be, make sure to go subscribe. That way you can take us on the road. Okay, and if you can't take us on the road through one of those platforms, look, you can go use your browsers on the phone. I don't know why you want to do that. And you can still listen to us there. We're on the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press, so you can go check us out over there. It's through Fanside and Minute Media. We also got that YouTube page, Knicks, Jets, etc. Okay, you can go over there, listen to the pod as well. YouTube has now been so gracious, I should say, that you can now close the app and you can listen to whatever shows you are.
I noticed that.
Thank you, YouTube.
I honestly thought it was
Thank
a glitch
you.
on my phone.
No, thank you, YouTube.
That's
Thank you for finally doing that. I
Because it used to
appreciate
be
that.
like that, by the way. Then they took it away.
Yeah. Yo.
That's so funny.
Oh
Give
my
them something, take it away, and then give it back, and they'll be so thankful for it.
God. No, really,
Amazing.
man. Really.
Economics
So, thank you.
101.
Look, that's how they do it with gas prices, right? They had it at $5. Now you see it's slightly below $4. I was like, oh my God, this is great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. But look, so make sure to go check us out over on the YouTube channel. You know, we got another podcast over there, Winning Picks Weekly. If you love sports betting, go listen to John, video producer Greg, and our guy and coach Chip Murphy. You can also download their podcast on all audio listening platforms as well. They're also partnered with Minute Media, so you can go check them out. And then last and certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. All right, everyone. Catch you later. We're going to give you another Jets update with roster cuts probably this week. But we out.
Let's go Knicks.